Hello. Hi. Welcome. Thank you all very much for coming out tonight. We're thrilled to be here at the 92Y with my pal Adam Weiner, Low Cut Connie. I'm Andrew Cotto. I guess they just introduced us, but I'll do it again. We are really happy to sit here, and I am super happy to sit here with someone I admire immensely and have a conversation with him about his music and his role as an artist and some of the themes that really inform his work. I discovered Low Cut Connie on a whim. It was serendipity writ large, where a buddy of mine called me up one night and said, "You want to go see Low Cut Connie tonight at the Bowery Ballroom?" I said, "Sure." I had no idea who Low Cut Connie was, but I'm a sure thing when it comes to a live music event. I go to everything. So I hustled down there. It was late. I hustled down there. I arrived when the show had already begun. I had to have a couple beers in the barroom first, because that's a requirement of mine. So the time I got in there, the show was in full swing. And I really can't believe what I saw. The Bowery Ballroom was rocking. On the stage, there was a guitar player on this side, a guitar player on that side, bass, drums, background singers, and there's this guy, standing on his piano, playing a solo, and just killing it. Shortly after, he was standing on the piano, taking off his clothes. Right? And I said, I have to meet this guy someday, and I have to get to know him, and I have to, learn more about his music. So of course, the easiest thing to do was to learn more about his music, so I did so. And I started culling through his collection of albums at that point. This is like 2018. Right? There was, at that point, 5 studio albums out. And what I realized quickly in that the first 3 of those records, there was plenty of this guy I saw in concert, and then some other disparate voices as well. Right? And I was having a hard time unpacking what this Low Cut Connie thing was all about. Right? And then Dirty Pictures Volume 1 and Volume 2 came out, and I recognized that was entirely Adam, and Adam had become Low Cut Connie. So the group itself for the first 3 studio albums was really a collective, certainly with this guy up front and leading the act. Right? But there was other voices being heard there, and those voices I could clearly distinguish his from theirs. As I went through this process then of discovering this music, the live aspect of it is what got me excited, but what really made me into a passionate fan as a writer was the themes I was recognizing again and again, and the songs that were Adam's from the first 3 albums, and of course all the songs on the subsequent ones. Now we're up to 7 studio albums and 1 live album, Tough Cookies. And I was amazed, because I grew up learning how to write not by reading books. Wasn't a voracious reader. I read records. I listened to music. I read the liner notes, and I loved learning what musicians were writing about, what phrases they were using, what images they were calling upon, and what things they were touching upon in people's lives. And I'm amazed as I've gone through this process with Adam, the array of themes that he touches on, and the depth and the quality of them. They're so 21st century. I think of him as like a 21st century rock star.
Everybody always tells me I'm retro.
Well,
so that's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, though.
I'm here for you. So, some of those themes that I think are most important, and I planned this thing out like a writer. I probably booked this room for about 4 hours worth of conversation until I got the note saying we have till 8:15. So I cut it down to the ones I think are the most important and the most reflective of Adam's empathy and his compassion. Right? And the first one is really his frequent writing about the LGBTQ community. We see this come up in his songs a lot. Songs like Shake It Little Tina, Little Queen of New Orleans, Rio, Wonderful Boy, and Call Me Sylvia. And I'm curious, what you, as a rock star, what makes you want to write about this community that's really not necessarily one that you see featured in rock music?
Although it should be.
Agreed.
Well, the first gig that I ever really had in New York was just down the street. At 59th and Lexington, there used to be a bar called Pegasus. And you came to that, Jane. You did. The bar at 59th and Lexington, it had no sign. There was just this little picture of a Pegasus and a black curtain, and you went in and they kind of sized you up if you were dressed right. You remember, Jane? Yeah, and as soon as I turned 21, I auditioned there, and they said, we need somebody, can you start on Saturday? So I started playing piano for drag night at Pegasus. And so I started my performing career, whatever it is, in a gay bar setting. And a lot of my songs I wrote for the bar because people would request songs and I would take, $20 to play this. And I had a rule, no Celine Dion and no Piano Man. And I love Barry Manilow, but no Barry Manilow. So I started to try to develop my own songs to play in the bar to fit the setting. And it turned into a lot of the songs that I do with Low Cut Connie. And so there was never a moment when I gained empathy or something. I started my career in a gay bar setting and around trans people, gay people, every kind of people. And that's how I learned how to perform and write. So it just makes sense to me that you would notice things I don't notice, that there's a theme. I don't notice themes. You're a writer. You notice themes.
I'm a theme guy.
Can I do a song?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So in the bar in Pegasus, I don't know if you remember this, Jane. There was a guy. He was like 4'11", Chinese man. His name was Michael, and he used to dress up like Tina Turner every Saturday. And I used to play piano for him, and it was a whole thing. And I wrote this about him. Shake it, little Tina. Shake it, little Tina. Shake it, little Tina, now. Shake it, little Tina. You're supposed to dance, Andrew. Tina, shake it, little Tina, now. Take off your shirt. My friends and I, just pass the time, doing all these macho things, sliced alone and chicken wings. But when I'm by myself, I turn into someone else. I pull down my pants. Come on, Andrew. Put on my heels and dance. Shake it, little Tina, shake like little Tina, love me. Shake it, little Tina, shake like little Tina, honey. I'm a modern dude. I eat all that modern food. But when it comes to bump and grind, I'm Tina Turner, 69. Shake it, little Tina, shake like little Tina, love me, baby. Shake it, little Tina, shake like little Tina, honey. Yeah. Make some noise, goddamn. My answer, gonna be a red hot dancer like Andrew. Everybody's going crazy. I'm gonna go full Swayze. Even though it's pretty fucking weird, even though I got a beard, if I put on something tight, I can shake my ass all night at the 92nd Street Y. Shake it, little Tina, shake like little Tina, love me, baby. Shake it, little Tina, shake like little Tina, Tina. Shake it, little Tina. Shake it, little Tina. And you know what's funny? I just remembered the other song that I used to accompany him, because he used to do Tina Turner songs, but then he'd always want to do a ballad. He used to do the song called Sometimes When We Touch, which I will tell you, I think it's the worst song ever written. No, it is. I think it's the worst song that's ever been written. Go home and listen to that song. Listen to the lyrics. It's a love song that makes you hate love. Right? So, and what's sad about the situation is that that bar, Pegasus, got closed down by the Board of Health in 2003 or 4. And I had this click. You know how it's hard to explain as a performer. You tour, you go to all these bars and clubs, and it's like you have this second family. You see all these people you only ever see in the bar. And then if the bar closes, you never see them again. So there were all these people. I only ever knew their first names. And then one day they closed. I never saw them again. So I miss that bar. It makes you never want to have sex ever again. That's how bad that song is.
I'm guessing that wasn't the intention when the guy wrote it.
It's a black hole where sexuality goes to die.
All right, that's enough about that. Let's move on. Unless we want to talk about this.
Please, it's your show. Yeah, it's all you, baby.
All right. Another theme, one that I find most compelling, is the way you look out for the little guy. You spend a lot of time in your songs addressing people who are on the outside of society, discarded. We're talking about children often, homeless people, sex workers, starving actors, the sleazy and the freaks who bring a tear to your eye. And I love the fact that you are drawn, you're bringing your attention to their situation because they're the ones whose stories aren't often told. Can you tell us where that instinct comes from?
No, I have no idea. Again, you're the noticer.
Okay, so should I answer the question for you?
Sure, I'd love to hear your thesis on this.
I grew up knowing a lot of people on the Oscars. I'm an innately empathetic soul growing up in South Jersey, and I saw all these kids, that weren't wanted. I saw these people in my life growing up that weren't included. Me myself, being a quirky kid sometimes who sucked at sports, wasn't often included. And my artistry is attracted to telling their stories because I think they're valid stories. They're often people who have the most character and deserve to be championed.
I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, I
You can quote me on that.
I do think one thing that you said that's right is things happen in childhood and when you're young that they sort of determine your whole life in a lot of ways, and things you don't even notice. And so I think that, I don't know, we could do a therapy session together,
I think we are doing it right now.
but I guess there were things that happened when I was young, or a perspective that I got, where I could always, and if I was in a room and there was like one kid that was left out or was sad or angry or whatever, I always noticed that person and wanted to talk to them. And still to this day, and it bothers me, I will be at a party or something, there'll be somebody in the corner, and I'm shy too, so sometimes I don't talk to them, and then the next day it really bothers me. I'm like, nobody talked to that person. It really bothers me. I hate that I didn't go talk to that person. Why that is, I don't know, but when it comes to writing a song, and I don't have a plan. You're a planner. I'm not a planner. Whatever comes out, it tends to be about the people that I feel like don't get written about. Because pop music is like, it's about being cool, it's about being hip, it's about being fashionable, it's about being on trend. I've never been any of those things, and I don't feel like an authority to write about cool things. So I do tend to write about the other people. I don't know. You put it better than me, the list of people that you think I write songs about, but it does tend to be the people that are not in pop songs at all.
There's the answer I was looking for. Make it easier next time, though, right? How about a song from that lexicon?
I'll let you pick.
Look at what they did.
Look what they did. Okay. Shit. Fucking hell. All right. Well, this is... I think I have a few Jersey pals here, New Jersey people. This is for my New Jersey people. Tough shit for the little guy, living like a chump with his back to the wall. You wanna scream in the face, it makes no difference at all. They built casinos in 1981. They said the whole fucking city's gonna grow. Donald Trump made $500 million, what have we got to show? Look at what they did to the people. Look at what they did to this town. Look how they built up the dream and now they're tearing it down. They always gave us a hard time, and baby, you know we did the best that we could. But when you look at what it did to the children, baby, you know it doesn't sit with me good. Little creatures get the shit end of the stick. Dark features get you shot in the head. They screw you all of your life, and even after you're dead. Maybe one day there'll be a different way of life. Maybe it'll change the game. But at the end of the day, it probably still stays the same. Look at what they did to the people. Look at what they did to the town. Look how they built up the dream and now they're tearing it down. They always gave us a hard time, and baby, you know we did the best that we could. When you look at what it did to the children, baby, you know it doesn't sit with me good. When you look at what it did to the children, baby, you know it doesn't sit with me good. I don't play that one too often. Sometimes I play it and I lose half the audience. And I started playing it again recently because it's on my mind. And I will say that it's interesting because I've been doing this particular band this is the 13th year, which is crazy. But the job in some ways gets easier, but in a lot of other ways it gets harder every year, because in the early days of the band, 2015, 16, that middle period, we did half the year we would do free concerts, like in parks, and every town and county has like a budget, and they put on these free concert series, and we were like the band every year that we would do these things. And I loved it because when you do free events, especially outdoors, you get all kinds of people who've never seen me before. You get a mixture of every kind of person, and that's what I really enjoy. And we sort of built the live show on that and trying to do a show that we could pull all kinds of people together. And I will tell you that over the years it's become harder and harder and harder to do these concerts outside that are free, because we would have fights and we'd have people screaming at each other. and I would play a certain song, and it would make this person pissed off. And 2016, we played a show in Ohio. It is a town called Hamilton, Ohio, and it happened to be the weekend of the RNC. And so it was only 30 miles away from Cleveland, and I chose an amazing outfit for the night. I had on a blue polyester onesie, as you do. And we're all backstage in the band. They're all in kind of like really glittery outfits and whatever. And this guy comes out with a clipboard, and he's like, all right, everybody, parking is free until 11 p.m., and tomorrow night we have a Fleetwood Mac cover band. And anyway, this is Obama's favorite band. And all these people start booing. And one of the guys in the band he looks out there, and there's like a ton of red hats in this crowd. And this guy has just said, Obama's favorite band. And the band was panicking. And I was panicking, but I didn't want to show anybody that I was panicking. And I was like, this is going to be great. It's going to be great. This is going to be the best show we ever did. We're going to fix all the problems of America in the next 75 minutes. I did this huge speech backstage, and we went out there, and it was fucked. I mean, people were yelling at us, they're booing, and then there's other people yelling at them. And it took like the whole show just to kind of get it together. In the rest of that summer, the more shows we did like that, it got harder and harder, as you could imagine. And since then, we don't do as many of those, but when we do them, they're challenging. I still do them. I love the challenge of it. But it's a comment on where we are in America, that we can't all just go to a concert and see music and hear things and just all enjoy it together. It's become really challenging. So it's something I think we need to work on. Let me put it that way.
I think the blue onesie would help. Okay. Moving on.
Your show, baby.
You sure? I lost track. I can't get the blue onesie out of my head. Sorry, I can't unthink that.
It was a custom job, too.
I'm certain. So, another area that you write about, and I know you're going to say you don't know why you do it, right? But I think I know why, and it involves something that's really, when we did our interview for the Good Men Project, you mentioned that there was really a mental health crisis in this country, and it's kind of what you're just addressing there, and I agree. I'm going through it right now. Sorry. And you don't see a lot of people writing about mental health. It's still not part of the conversation. You see people talking about it on shows, or they're feeling good, and people are open, and the environment is welcoming to that. But again, in music, you're not seeing it a lot. It's certainly not rock music. But I was really impressed by the amount of attention you pay to people who are suffering emotionally, suffering with mental health. I'm thinking of songs like Beverly, for instance. The song Montreal. Help Me. From Private Lives, and I Don't Understand This, and there's a myriad other songs of your collection that I can't recall. If I look up my notes, I'll be able to tell you.
Hey, you're right.
What Has Happened to Me, Don't Take a Genius, Call Out My Name, all these songs, are really ones that address the mental health crisis in America. And again, I'm going to guess that you didn't do it intentionally. Right, but you were sort of sensing this, and one of the things that I really admire about your work as an artist is that you kind of get these things before they become talking points. Right? You're sort of onto these things, before they become the things that people are talking about, openly. I know you're going to say that a broke clock is right twice a day, right? But this is one of the things that you do it again and again and again, and it's really impressive. And are you able to sort of address the idea of mental health as a topic?
Again, I don't think about it, but it does come up a lot. I've had my struggles, which I have spoken about a little bit. When I was doing my Tough Cookies show, I talked about it a little bit, and I don't know. There's songs from the beginning of time. You know, songs are supposed to, a good song resonates with people, and so it's gotta provide a service for people in some way. Maybe it makes them dance. Maybe it's a distraction, like a party song. Maybe it's bedroom music. Maybe it's I don't know, topical, but music that's soothes, and you feel bad, and it speaks to that, and maybe it makes you feel a little better. That's like age old.
Well, the heartbreak song.
And there are songs like the Beach Boys, "Don't Worry, Baby." I could listen to that song like forever. So simple. And there's always going to be a moment when you want to hear that song, "Don't Worry, Baby." I just have a certain perspective that I think you're noticing, I guess, which is that I don't like to do escapism in my shows or in my songs. I like to just acknowledge if things are fucked up, you just got to acknowledge it and maybe work through it in the best of cases, So a song like "Help Me" is like taking it head on and trying to address that things are not going well, and maybe your mental state isn't going well. And what can you do with it, Talking about it helps, So a song is a way of talking about it.
Agreed. And a song's also a way of singing about it.
Yeah.
How about Beverly?
Okay. In specific, this particular song, this one did sort of have an inspiration. Now, when I used to play at the gay bar, I used to play this beautiful piano piece. Right? And that turned into... And a song actually that I used to do, I used to sing on the train, because I took the train everywhere. On the train, la 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 la, right? And then when I started doing this band, I started traveling so much, and we would stay in one-star motels, like, the Knights Inn in Dubuque or whatever. One thing I noticed is a lot of these one-star motels, they have people that live there week to week. And I would meet a lot of these women that would live there week to week, and often are moms. And it's all over America. It's a thing that if you live in New York City, you don't know about this. But anywhere in America, you go to these motels, and there are women who live out of their car, basically, and they're kind of week to week living in these motels. And it's a tragic situation. And it ended up in my song, this person named Beverly. Down on my knees, you read the paper and watch TV. Don't even say a single word to me. Talk to me. You're slipping away. Sit around the trailer and sleep all day. There's something funny and you just won't say it's not okay. Beverly, come on and talk to me. Let me be free to try. In the streets, shaking my self-esteem, living a dream all night. Beverly, yeah. dance while you watch the game. You're making faces just to feed the flame. It's such a shame. Beverly, come on and talk to me. Let me be free to try. In the streets, shaking my self-esteem, living a dream all night. Beverly, yeah. Beverly, Beverly, Beverly. Which, by the way, I think it's better than On the Train.
Just a little bit. I always think of that song as being like the best song that Elton John and Bertie Taupin ever wrote.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Elton is one of my heroes, and he likes that song, and he played it on his radio show, and that was a thrill.
I bet. I think we need to go back a little bit and inform people as to why that guy in Ohio introduced you guys as Obama's favorite band.
Go for it.
So, as you know, former President Barack Obama does a playlist every summer of his favorite songs of the year. In 2014, Boozophilia.
15.
My bad. 2015, Boozophilia from
Call Me Sylvia album.
Call Me Sylvia album was on Obama's playlist. When you found out about that, what was the reaction?
Disbelief, shock, horror, confusion. You have to understand where the band was at in 2015. I was still teaching. Things weren't really going great. We did have fans. We did tour. But I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a label. I didn't have a manager. I didn't have a publicist. I didn't have much. And I was in a lot of debt with the band and just trying to hold it together. You don't think that, first of all, it was the first year. It was the first playlist he ever did. Now, every year since, he does it, and people are like, what's he going to put? What's he going to put? And, like, I don't know. Maybe people meet Obama and are like, you know, check out my kid's song. I don't know. But
here's my demo.
There was no precedent, and it was so unfathomable. If the music industry wouldn't give me a nod, like put me on have a label, sign me, or an agent pick me up, then how could you ever fathom that the most famous and powerful person in the world would endorse your song? It's just like you couldn't even dream of that. So when it first happened, I saw it on my phone. I saw this thing called POTUS playlist. And now we know the word POTUS, but I didn't know what POTUS was. And that's interesting. And I didn't have my contact lenses in, so I was like, I'll brush my teeth. I will put my contacts in. I'll eat something. And then this will all make sense. And then I went back to it, and man, my phone was blowing up. Everybody I ever met in my life was like, holy shit, this is you, right? So yeah, it was a weird thing.
Cool. Great story. I'm going to digress a little bit and have a little bit of fun. So one of the things that makes your songs really unique is some of your titles. I got to ask you about a couple of these titles on this.
Okay.
Okay. And just blurt it out. Don't think about responding. Just tell me, where did this come from?
Okay.
Big Thighs, New Jersey.
Not
Not familiar with that town or the exit.
It comes from George Carlin. I grew up listening to George. I love George Carlin, and he had a tape. I'm so old. He had a cassette tape that we wore out. We used to listen to it, and he made a fake. He used to do these fake commercials, and there was some fake commercial for some product, and it said, "Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to in Big Thighs, New Jersey."
Good enough.
Yeah.
All right, sticking with the Jersey motif, scoliosis, in Secaucus. What the fuck is that?
I don't have a fucking clue where that came from, but I will tell you that when the song came out and the band was really new, I don't think we had played 15 shows yet. Secaucus has their own newspaper. It's like the Secaucus. You're making a face. There's a Secaucus newspaper. There was. The Secaucus Weekly. I don't know. And they did a whole article about how there was finally a song about Secaucus. Which I thought was amazing. First of all, to get press, great. But then I thought they didn't listen to the song at all.
You guys are big in Secaucus.
Yeah.
No more wet T-shirt contests.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was right from the headlines in terms of the type of gigs I was playing.
Okay.
And I was real, I got situated into that dive bar circuit. And one day I'll write a book and I'll say all the things that I saw and did. But for now, there's little snippets in these songs. And so that was a song I wrote for myself that was, I got to get the fuck off of this gig, you know.
The fucking you get or the fucking you got?
The fucking you get for the fucking you got.
My bad. Big difference.
Big difference. That came from Ava Gardner. There's a book of conversations with Ava Gardner that's amazing. As great an actress and as gorgeous as she was really funny. And there was this book of interviews with her published, and she's talking about one of the worst breakups she ever went through. I think it was one of the Sinatra breakups. And she's smoking a cigarette doing this interview with somebody, and how this split went so bad, and she lost all her money, and her career took a turn, and she said, "What? That's the fucking you get for the fucking you got." And immediately I had a song. But can I add to that? There's another line in that song that was the original title of that song. My life just flashed before my thighs, which is something that somebody said to me once when I walked into the Townhouse, which is another gay bar I used to work. I walked in there one night, and I looked really good on this particular night. I had my Prince hair. I had a whole thing going on. And I walked in, and this guy looked at me and said, "Ooh, my life just flashed before my thighs."
All right. Have not had that experience.
You got to go out more, Andrew. I'll take you some places.
I'm good. All right, let's move on. When you got to when you became Low Cut Connie with 30 Pictures Volume 1 and 2, I noticed a trend in the music being more towards cultural criticism. Sort of lashing out. This is where we meet the jerk-offs and the schmucks and the assholes and the lunatics and the terrorists, and the putzes, and the kids who are way too high.
Uh-huh.
And there's dirty water, and there's death and destruction. There's all this sort of lashing out at America, from your piano in Philadelphia. Cultural criticism. Were you feeling more empowered because the band was yours and you could do what you want, or was it just a sign of the times? Where'd this come from?
Well, one thing that always bugged me was that the early days of Low Cut Connie, nobody took us seriously. Like, we did have some fans, but nobody in the industry took us seriously. They thought we were a joke band. And a number of record labels, agents, managers turned us down because they said, the band is too jokey. Now, to be fair, which pisses me off, but at the same time, the first album was called Get Out the Lotion. And the name of the band is Low Cut Connie. Like, I get it. It wasn't built for success, if you know what I mean. The first album has Shit, Shower, and Shave.
I was going to bring that up.
But I felt like people were kind of missing the point because at every stage of the band, with the songs, with the shows, it was more than a joke. It wasn't just a joke. There was commentary going on. There was discussions about life, culture, people. And I felt like there was more 3 dimensions to it, and people were looking at it with 2 dimensions. Now, you have to earn that in this industry because the music business likes to flatten things into 2 dimensions, because if you're building things for mass consumption, it's got to be, compressed into something simple, hooky, and dimensions are really not, they don't sell, So I realized after the first couple albums, we're not going to make it. This band is not going to be hugely successful. We're not going to be a household name. It's not going to be that kind of thing. And that was really liberating, because then I could actually let my worldview and my feelings about things just kind of come through. That's the beauty of being a cult artist, is you can do whatever the fuck you want. And once I got to and remember, I didn't start the band until I was 30. So I'm already kind of shook off the youthful, I'll try this to get popular, I'll try this, maybe I'm this kind of person, maybe I'm that kind of artist. I kind of got that out of my system. So by the time I was writing songs for Low Cut Connie, it was just, I got to be me, Andrew. And there's a lot of things that piss me off about the world we live in, the country we live in, and the song that you named called Death and Destruction was a song in which I'm literally talking about in the song how I wish I could care less about things that were going on in the world. It'd be easier, as I say in the song, I'd rather be a moron for a while. It'd be easier to just not pay attention and care about what's going on, but I can't turn it off. I care, I do. What I try to do, though, is I try to make the issues danceable. I want you to still be able to have fun, dance, let loose, while also thinking about things that are going on,
I think of all those songs, they're probably the most danceable, the most head-bobbing is Revolution Rock and Roll.
Uh-huh.
Let's hear it. That's your cue.
That's an order?
Mm-hmm. You said it was my show, right?
Okay. I actually came up with the song. I was living in New York, and I was walking around Union Square, and I was singing, da 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 da, just like that. And then the whole thing came to me really fast. I used to be a soldier, now I'm getting older. I start to feel so lazy, it starts to make me crazy. Come on, children, rip it up, let the jerk-offs clean it up. Touch my body, touch my soul, revolution, rock and roll. But I'm still a loser, and I'm still a boozer, chasing down the dragon, falling off the wagon. Come on, children, stick it up, let the jerk-offs pick it up. Touch my body, touch my soul, revolution, rock and roll. Preaching to the choir, jumping to the fire, and if I don't preserve it, then I don't deserve it. Come on, children, light it up, let the jerk-offs eat it up. Touch my body, touch my soul, revolution, rock and roll. And I can't explain it, and I can't contain, and I can't be trusted, and I'm still disgusted. jerk-offs do their stuff. Touch my body, touch my soul. Revolution, rock and roll. Come on, children, rip it up. Let the jerk-offs clean it up. Touch my body, touch my soul. Revolution, rock and roll.
All right, now I got a bone to pick with you. I got a problem.
Okay.
As a
Shit.
blue-blooded rock and roller, guy who grew up listening to music, rock music, mostly about men. Right? Where men play on the stage, right? And the women are backstage. Right? You've done this ridiculous job of just defeating all these men in your songs. I come through this collection of yours, and I find all these dudes who are just hurting. A pity party. The guy is begging for some action. He got lucky once in college, he says. He lives with his mom. He brags about being a badass bowler.
That was about me, by the way. just
Let me stick to my script here. No, don't get me off my script. Had you told me before, I wouldn't have brought this up. The song Angela. The dude says you're just too hot to date me.
Yeah.
You don't admit that. You don't say that to somebody. Right?
Also about me.
I'm seeing the trend here. The song Cleveland. Right? I could have been a businessman, but I chose this life instead. I could have been a big star, but I'm not that good in bed. You ever heard a rock star?
That's not about me. That is not about me.
You ever heard in the history of rock and roll some dude saying he's not good in bed? What are you thinking?
Well,
there's more. Wait, there's more.
Okay.
In Montreal, she's laughing at me in a bathroom stall. Don't do that. Okay? You gotta represent the men out there in the world.
I think I am representing the men.
No, I'm
More
sorry. You need to
accurately.
misrepresent men in the world, right? It's all we got.
I think that
Where does this come from?
there's been 50 or 60 years of macho rock and roll. It's boring already. It's been done. It's just and there's a reason why rock and roll right now is just not that popular. It played out. I'm not saying it won't come back, but it played out. And there are certain very watered down, reduced ideas about rock and roll, what it's supposed to be, and what the people that play it are supposed to look like and sound like and write about. So boring. I'm not saying that if I'm at the gym, I'm not going to put Van Halen on while I'm running. And there's a time and a place, but that ain't me. And by the way, this is another reason why I'm not more popular. But I think those songs are better off for being what they are. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I listen. We're at the 92nd Street. Why I could say I grew up with Jewish humor. I'm super Jewy. Look at me. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I was Jew of the Month in Tablet magazine.
Really?
Just
Mazel
want
tov.
everybody to know.
Mazel tov.
Oh wait, Joe, was it Jew of the Week or the month? Okay, yeah, give me the month. That was a great month. The next month was awful, but I grew up with Jewish humor, and it's just natural to me. I think from that Jewish perspective, we have to be the put upon. You make yourself the butt of the joke. You make yourself the clown to some degree for the rest of society, and it's like an instinct that I did grow up with, and I think it worked its way into my songs. I can't even imagine writing a song that the premise of the song is I'm really good in bed. Like I can't even imagine.
You should try it. You sell some records.
I can't even imagine it. It's so boring. I feel it's like writing a song that's like I love you to the moon and back. It's like there's 9 million songs like that. Who needs another one?
Or like Sometimes When We Touch.
Ooh. But a song about I think I'm bad in bed. That's a new one, you know.
Agreed.
Not about me.
Speaking of, it's a great segue here, actually, so we're moving along here. You're talking about your Jewish upbringing. You know, besides the occasional reference to the schmucks of the world, right? There wasn't a lot of emphasis on your Jewish background in your songs, at least to my understanding or my recognition, until obviously Art Dealers with King of the Jews. What inspired you to sort of pivot more towards that as something you were singing openly about?
I think there's a lot of Jewy stuff in a lot of the earlier songs. It's not as overt, you know. I think Big Knives, New Jersey, like even Shit, Shower, and Shave and Pity Party, they're very Jewy songs. It doesn't stand up and say, this is a very Jewy song, by the way. But King of the Jews, during the pandemic, when I did Tough Cookies and I was on camera twice a week and talking to everybody at home, because I don't talk that much on stage usually with the band, I don't know, people had all kinds of ideas about what I'm actually like. And they found out during the pandemic that I'm a absolute nerd and very, very Jewy. I mean, it all came out. You know, I blew my cover in a way. And so all through the pandemic, there was a lot of Jewish humor and sentiment that was threaded through Tough Cookies. And the New Yorker wrote about it, and Jew of the Month, and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, well, now's the time, because I've always derived inspiration from my Jewish upbringing, frustration and inspiration, both together. It's a thing I grapple with, and it's a thing I feel good about on some days and not as good about on other days. But it's in all my songs. And so I wanted to write a song that was like a hype-up song for myself. Because now I'm in my 40s doing this. And I think about who I was when I was a teenager and in my 20s. Whatever I was good at or bad at, I seriously don't think I ever thought that I would be successful. And I think that's probably why it took me a long time, is I could never visualize myself actually succeeding playing music. I did it over and over and over and over and over again. I got up on stage 1,000,000 times, but I couldn't actually picture a whole lot of people coming to see my concerts, or it still feels like a weird thing that happened to me. That's, I guess, what you call imposter syndrome. I don't know. But and eventually I did get to the point where after doing this for 13 years with this band, now it's a full-time job, I kind of wanted a song that I could sing every night that was like, you did it, motherfucker. You did it. And keep doing it, by the way, you know? And it just came out that way, King of the Jews.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Did you lose your mind? Did you forget the best part of the crime? Did it make you cry like a baby almost half the time? Like a baby almost half the time. Could you not decide which direction should you draw the line? Could you not all the people who ain't on your side? All the people who ain't on your side. Try to take me, come and make me. I'm the schmuck with the crazy eye. Starts to bore me, nothing for me, nothing but a waste
Look up here. That guy right there. Right? It's a different persona than the person that I know. Right? When you step on stage, you change. Beyonce has her Sasha Fierce, right? That woman she becomes when she's on stage, right? You have something similar too. I think Adam becomes Low Cut Connie, right? Your shows are like revivals to me. As I mentioned before, when I walked in that room that first time, and the Bowery Ballroom was going crazy, the place was bouncing, and there was pathos everywhere. There was goodwill everywhere. It was all emanating from the stage, which with your piano as like the pulpit. And it reminds me of church in many ways. It's a spiritual experience for many people, myself included. How aware of you are that, and how conscious of you are you of providing that to the people who come to see you?
Very aware, because as an audience member, I've had the experience of seeing some of the greatest performers of all time, and they've provided that for me. Even though I'm not a religious person, I don't have a meditation practice, I don't have a spiritual practice. It's not me. But there are times I've gone to see live performance where I have felt uplifted in a way that I can't describe, And so the performers that really, as I say, have high stage IQ, they can make you feel like the way they want you to feel, or the way that you don't even know you could feel, So I'm talking about my heroes, and I'm not even just talking about records. I'm talking about on stage, the geniuses of the stage: Tina Turner, James Brown, Mick Jagger, Prince, the greatest artist of all time for me, Bruce Springsteen, Iggy Pop, Patti Smith, on and on, Elvis, come on. So people that had a level of charisma and command of the stage that they could just make you feel magic. And what's funny is when I first started playing in New York City, I used to go to open mic night at the Sidewalk Cafe in the East Village. And I used to sit down, they'd call my name, and I'd sit down, and my foot would shake. I was so goddamn nervous. And I'd sit there, I couldn't look people in the eye, my voice would shake, and it really bothered me, because I set the bar really high. If I'm going to do something, I want to do it very well. It really bothered me that I couldn't command the stage and do the things I wanted to do. So I worked on it for many, many years. And so by the time Low Cut Connie kind of hit with our crowd and our audience, that was like I was ready to really pull it off and make people feel the way I want them to feel, and the way they don't even imagine they could feel. When you go to see a concert, Tina Turner, Bruce Springsteen, Prince, whatever it is, they can make 30,000 people feel all unified and all grooving to the same beat and all dancing to the same rhythm and all feeling the same way. It's an alignment of energy. And it's something I've studied,
It also takes a lot of work. I know standing on a piano with one foot, sitting on a piano bench with one foot and playing, you really clearly put a lot of physical training into being able to do what you do.
Yes, but what's funny is there's a lot of performers, and these are the ones that I just marvel at, who can stand completely still. Anybody talks about going to see like Roy Orbison back in the day, and when he would do these shows like with the Beatles or the Rolling Stones on tour, Little Richard, and all these people going crazy on stage, and Roy Orbison would stand like a statue, and nobody could take their eyes off him, And that's another way. But that's a different kind of stage IQ. It doesn't have anything to do with how much you do or how crazy you are on stage, but there's a sort of command of expression that I feel like a live performer can develop.
Got it. Before we finish up with some songs, I want to open up the floor. Is there written questions coming up here from Ellie? No, just ask. Right.
Oh,
here we go. How am I going to vet these? Hi. Hi.
I definitely want to know more about the blues scene and why you've been hiding it from us all this time. And I definitely want to know more about your deep hatred for D'Angelo and some of these. Yeah. But what I really want to know is, what do you draw inspiration from in terms of new artists today? I know you're on tour with fantastic you've been such an incredible arbiter of good taste of like some of the artists that you've mentioned, and especially deceased artists, and bringing them back. So I'd love to know up and coming bands and how you draw inspiration and who are some of your some of the ones that you would give accolades to that we may not know about.
That's great. Well, the blue onesie is just, I still have it. I mean, when you do, there were some years we did 100 shows a year, so I just went through a lot of clothes. Some of those clothes I look at and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? That is the ugliest garment that I have ever seen. So I just have so many clothes, and with polyester, it doesn't breathe, which creates a host of problems. So as many times as I've gotten my polyester stage clothes cleaned, after a tour, it's kind of like done. I didn't want to be like George Clinton, where he'd come out on stage and go like this, and the 80th row was like, I don't have hatred for Dan Hill, and sometimes when we touch, I don't have hatred for really any music. I just think that's the worst song that's ever written. I didn't use the word hate. You used the word hate. I just think objectively that's a horrible song. As far as new artists, in the case of this band that you mentioned, Fantastic Cat, they just remind me of Low Cut Connie 8 years ago, because they're doing it as a side project, but it's becoming their main thing, because they're bringing a lot of humor to what they're doing, and they're lifers. And I could tell there's certain bands, like there's a band that toured with us a year or two ago called Kiss the Tiger from Minneapolis, and this young woman who's the front person of this band is like, she just reminds me of me a bunch of years ago. She just goes for blood every time she's on stage. And very few people, when I was coming up with the band, came in and said, we'll take you from here. We're going to give you this break. We're going to give you this gig. So I know how hard it can be, and 99% of performers and artists fall off the log and don't stick with it. And when I see somebody who's really talented, I'd like to go in there and say, you're good, keep it up. It's going to take a long time, but keep it up.
Anyone? Yes, sir.
First off, this is the smallest room I've seen you in. Does that mean everybody gets one?
Everybody who wants one.
And he's not sweating.
I'm schwitzing. What are you talking about?
The other thing is, kind of like she's talking about new artists, I'll ask, but you do a lot of covers. And how do you what's the process going through all the covers you've done? Controversy, or the last time I saw you did a big movie thing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was a piano bar guy, so I had to always have 1,000 songs in my pocket. If somebody said, here's $20, can you play this Madonna song, I had to know it, And so I had to develop a little skill set, which was if I've heard the song, I need to be able to learn how to play it. But then during Tough Cookies, we covered over 600 songs, and I fell in love with music all over again. It was amazing to deconstruct all these songs after having mostly played my own music for a decade. And I love covers. I love doing other people's songs. I love turning people onto songs that I love that maybe they don't know. But no, there's no plan, there's no thought that goes into it beyond that. If it's good, I'll just do it.
Yes.
This is great.
Thank you.
Hi, Adam. So, I don't know if you remember, a while ago, during one of the Tough Cookie episodes, somebody asked you if I was taking somebody to see Low Cut Connie for the first time, what 3 songs would you suggest that they listen to?
Okay.
I don't know if you remember what you said. I do. But now that you have art dealers, so if I can tell you, you said Tina, you said Private Lives, and you said Fucking Get to the Fucking Die. Mixed up a little bit. So now that you have art dealers, plus there's a sensibility between you and the band and you solo, what 3 songs would you say?
Jeez. Well, I do particularly like some of these art dealer songs, but I think my favorite one is Sleaze Me on the new album, which is one of those songs that feels like it could have been written at any point in my any age, and it feels like a synthesis of different parts of my life into that particular song. Meaning, I feel like I could play that song as long as I play songs. There's certain things that you feel and then later you don't, you know. But I would have to say Rio, which is the first Low Cut Connie non-hit, and for some reason after 13 years, people still keep discovering us through that song. And I think there's an energy in that song and a humor and a don't give a fuck attitude that I feel like sums up Low Cut Connie in a lot of ways. And if I had to pick a third song, I guess it's a curveball. It's not a song I play often, but there's a song on Dirty Pictures Part 2 called Every Time You Turn Around, which is what Andrew was talking about in terms of empathy and writing songs that are trying to make people feel better. That one, I think, does it well.
Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
As a fan, I think back to the Park stage at See Here Now, and one of the most memorable performances and musical experiences I've seen in the last 10 years. I want to get your feel on music festivals and a launch pad for a lot of artists to grow and kind of get to that next level. I know you're humble and say you're not going to be big and be bigger. What are your feelings on festivals and that being a part of Low Cut Connie? I know the location and your relationship with Danny help, but do you love festivals or are you more the intimate show feel you prefer?
Good question, both. I love playing in front of 10,000 people. That's always fun. As I say in our new art dealers film, it's easier to play for 10,000 people than 10. 10 is awkward as fuck. 10,000 people's kind of easy, like at a festival, because it's all broad strokes, you know, and people are there ostensibly because they all want to be in a huge crowd listening to music together, you know. A dive bar with 10 hostile people, that's like the toughest thing to do in the world. But there's good festivals and not so good ones. And I do think in the industry we're seeing a bubble bursting in terms of festivals. There were too many for a while. It's starting to, a lot of them are going out under, and unfortunately some of the good ones are going under, and some of the not as good ones are staying. A lot of the festivals are about music discovery and what's hip and what's cool. Those are the ones I don't like as much. But the ones that have a spirit to them, like See Here Now that you mentioned, that are about mixing older artists, younger artists, this kind of music, that kind of music, and there's a spirit in the air when you walk around the grounds of the festival. We just did Germany in August. We did these 3 festivals, and I was like inspired. It was like going back in time to 1969 in America, all these people camping, and I was like, I might become a hippie at some point. I might go through a hippie phase. If they had indoor plumbing at these festivals, I probably would go through a hippie phase. But it's so great for discovery. But on the other hand, we've done things like Lollapalooza that were kind of a waste of time. We got completely swallowed up by the other things that were there. We were a little too old, to be honest with you, and a little too old school. And I don't think it was, although the show we did at Lollapalooza in front of thousands of people, okay, but then we did this little tiny little tent show for about 50 people. That was great. That was great. So
We over here?
we got these 2 wonderful people right
The
here.
last 2 questions too.
You have an extensive vinyl collection. Would you ever consider doing a live DJ set?
Well, that's a great question, and a great segue for me to say that I got a radio show all summer. I'm doing a radio show called The Connie Club. Everybody is welcome at The Connie Club. The Connie Club is a cool little divey bar. The food is terrible, but the music is great. Everyone is welcome. I'm going to be on WXPN in Philadelphia all summer. We're going to be doing live variety shows. We're going to be doing live streams. I love DJing, and yes, I'm going to be doing it all summer. My friend Jane right here. And let me say something before you ask your question. My friend Jane right here if I was Barry Manilow, Jane would be Bette Midler. Back in my younger days, we used to play music together a lot. We did a number of shows together, and I played piano for Jane. She's an amazing cabaret performer, and I was her accompanist. And we had a lot of great times, and that was great. So we go back 20 years. Anyway, go on.
It's quick. So twofold, or maybe threefold. One, so to that, you did write a song about you being really great in bed, called "The Face You Can't Forget," and I'm just gonna quote it back to you. Say to me, you're never gonna keep a lover, but I know you're gonna suffer for me yet when you lay down by another. I'm the face you can't forget. That's a pretty big dig song. You wrote it in your liar.
Thank you for coming.
This is what happens when you do a Q&A in New York City.
And then, secondly, pivoting off of like DJing, would you, and talking about music festivals, would you consider doing like, I don't know, an Adam Weiner production and doing your own music festival, and then you get to handpick and cherry pick, those said acts or whomever.
I think, yes. I think that the radio show and the events I'm going to do with it are kind of a baby step, just to see if people are going to go with me down that road where I'm not just a frontman of a band. We'll see if people dig it. I would love to put on a festival. I would love to do a cruise. We did a cruise. We did a cruise a few years ago, and I was like, this could be so much better. This could be so much more fun. So one day we'll do a Connie cruise. But I got to work up to it,
No pressure.
So I would love to do a million things. There's so many things on my list that I want to do. And
You have like, you're saying like some things are now, the great ones are becoming defunct,
yeah,
and you are like this, again, you know how to bring the people together and all.
I would love to be a somebody that champions young and upcoming artists or older and forgotten artists. I love doing that. I would like to keep doing that. However, I have a day job. And by the way, keeping a band running and going in 2024 in the United States, where the arts are so devalued, it ain't no joke. It's a tough, tough job. And it's a very difficult industry to work in. And you never quite get to that place where it's sturdy. And so if you need to keep things running at 50 miles an hour, then I need to be running at 90 miles an hour to keep it going, if that makes sense. So I can't take my eye off the ball with the band and what I have to be doing. But I hope that it continues. Like every year I say, this is it, it's over. It's probably going to end. The pandemic, I was like, that's it. Then we came back from the pandemic, and with inflation and everything that happened, our tours, same crowds, but we went into debt again. It was like, oh shit, I guess it's over again. Every year I say it's over, but we keep going. We keep going. I can't go on, I'll go on.
I think this party's about over, except for one little set, if you wouldn't mind.
What am I allowed to do?
You'd let it play about 3 songs.
I'm allowed?
You're allowed.
I'm allowed?
You're allowed.
This is one of those songs that I'll never get tired of playing. They got no time for me, living in the city, living on the best streets, sleeping in a balcony. They don't know what we've been doing. They don't know what we've been eating, getting down here with the people, down with the gospel truth, down with boozophilia, South Philly, living with Marie. She keeps me on the edge of my seat. Every time we get home, we don't know what the fuck she's gonna do. What you gonna be cooking, getting down here with the people, down with the gospel truth, down with boozophilia, down with the broken tooth. We're on the south side of Chicago, down in the groove, down in West Virginia. We'll get down with you. Make some noise, New Yorkers. I could open up a bakery. Maybe that's what the fuck I need. Little of your maternity and a banjo on my knee. I don't care what we do. We could go to the beach. We could go get stoned. I'm hungry, getting down here with the people, down with the gospel truth, down with boozophilia, down with the broken tooth. We're on the south side of Chicago, down here in the groove, down in West Virginia. We'll get down with you. 92nd Street Wire, the place to be on the leap year. So I want to thank the 92nd Street Y for having us, but I want to do a huge thank you to my friend Andrew Cotto. This was his idea. This was his idea. If you enjoyed it, it was my idea. If you didn't, it's Andrew. No, he was very persistent that we would make this happen, and you made it happen, and I appreciate you, brother. This summer, our art dealer's film is going to be coming out. And supposedly it's going to be playing in New York City. I'll let you know when. Bad news down the line. I heard you laughing, laughing to keep from crying. You hit the ceiling with all the troubles you see. But all through this evening, you get no trouble from me. Stay with me a long time. Stay for just one night. Stay as long as you desire. You can stay as long as you like. You can stay as long as you like. off your makeup. You can have a good cry. It's gonna be a shake-up. Might be hard to survive. They take all the sweet things, they throw them on a pile. But you and me, babies, we don't need things. You and me, we got style. Stay with me a long time. Stay for just one night. You can't take your sweet ass time. You can stay as long as you like. You can stay as long as you like. Stay with me a long time. Stay for just one night. Stay as long as you desire. You can stay as long as you like. You can stay as long as you like. I want to dedicate this to my pal Andrew Cotto, my man. It's like a full-time job just to open up your brains for deposit. When you get out in this world, these motherfuckers shove you back in the closet. Do your shit, do it well. You gotta boogie for yourself because nobody else will believe you. Nobody else will believe you, but I do. You can make it through the bullshit, then you better not have visions of glory. Wash your hands with Tilex and just turn around and tell a fucking story. Do your shit, do it well. You gotta boogie for yourself because nobody else will believe you. Nobody else will believe you, but I do. If you sit around jerking, all these jocks is getting ready to steal things. So roll up your sleeves and give these schmucks a little taste of the real thing. Do your shit, do it well. You gotta boogie for yourself